in June of 2010 is when my life basically just did a 360, and not only my life, but the life of many other people that were affected by the whole incident. I share the story just to put awareness out there that actions do have consequences. Doesn't matter how invincible or impossible it may seem to happen to you. Things do happen, especially when you don't think of the consequences. And my story is just that. On June 2010, we ended up going to a party, and we never made it back. It was just like any other day. I woke up, I had my World of Warcraft raid, went to the gym. The day was going to be over with. Actually laid in bed for a few hours. I ended up getting a phone call from one of my friends. It was her birthday that day. And she told me that they wanted her to go out. She had a few friends with her, and they were trying to party that night. I told them no, I didn't want to, but I just ended up giving in. I said, you know what? Let's go. Let's have a great night. It's your birthday. Let's celebrate. I ended up leaving the house. It was around 11:30 p.m. Usually I used to tell my dad that I'm leaving the crib, but I never told him anything that night. It was just everything was very weird. There was a I don't know how to explain the feeling that I had. It's almost unexplainable, and I'm not just saying that I had a feeling. It just something felt off. So I ended up picking up my friends, and we were all underage. One of my friends, it was me and three girls at the time, and it was one of their birthdays. One of their friends ended up getting a fake ID, and we got liquor from a 7-Eleven. It was a few clear bottles and some brewskis. So the initial plan was actually to go to the movies and go see. At that time, Toy Story 3 was playing, but we decided against it because, ironically, the time just didn't match up with the amount of time it would take to drive there. So we're like, you know what? Let's just get some liquor, and instead, let's go drink somewhere. So we called around. There was nothing going around. There was no parties happening. So we came up with the idea to go to the beach and have our own party. So we ended up going to the first beach, Loyal Beach. It was actually kind of popping over there. There was a few people. They were partying. They had I believe there's a bonfire happening. But Loyola, it actually tends to be very, very riddled with cops. So they shut everything down. The cops came around. They seen us. They waved us off. They said, get off the beach unless you want to get ticketed. So we just did that. We ended up calling a couple of friends to see if there was a party or something going on. But there was nothing going on that night. So we decided, since we're already on the shoreline, to go to a different beach. And sure enough, we just drove over the next one, which was Winnetka Beach. And it was more of like a private beach. There was mansions everywhere. There was no cars. There was only about 3 other people on this beach. So we've actually went there before numerous times, even as kids, because we all grew up in the same neighborhood. We all grew up knowing each other, right? None of us were strangers. So we end up going to this private beach. We go down there, and sure enough, we just started drinking. The whole plan was to just stay there, do what we had to do, get wasted, have a good time, and call it a day. But one of my friends, her sister that was with us, she ended up getting sick because she drank too much. Not thinking about the consequences, not thinking about my actions, not thinking anything of it, because I actually driven drunk before, maybe about 5-6 times before this incident. I didn't think anything of it, so I'm like, you know what, let's go. And she said we could just finish off party at my house. I'm like, all right, cool, sounds good. So boom, we get in the car, start driving. Me being just a no excuse stupid kid, I'm not paying attention to the road. At this point, I had maybe about 6 beers worth of alcohol. And so we're driving down. It's like a private road. There's no lighting anywhere. There's mansions all around. And before I knew it, I'm talking to the girls in the back, and I look forward. Next thing I know, there's a collision, and I look down. I just see dust everywhere. I just see debris. It's like this sulfuric smell from the airbag. It hits, and I just black out. The only memories that I do have of me being pulled out of the car after the incident happened was essentially just small little hazy moments, like cloudy moments. I remember being pulled out initially, a split second. Next thing I remember, I was on the ground. Next thing I remember, I was in the hospital, uh, being told to just calm down, and then it all became a haze. It's cloudy memories, but I do vividly remember actually smells mostly, and just like seeing almost like a picturesque slideshow of events that did perspire, or things that I thought perspired. I'm not exactly sure. The next thing I know, I'm in the hospital. A cop throws a newspaper at me. There's a guy with a shotgun. I'm tied to the bed with a handcuff to a cast because my leg was broken. I had a compound fracture, and I didn't know what's going on. They had me in about 4 different meds for pain, from morphine to Dilaudid because I had a surgery. And he tells me, two of your friends passed away in the vehicle. And I couldn't contemplate, I couldn't fathom the thought of what happened. I just thought it was a bad dream because I wasn't all there. And once I started to come to, my sister, actually, I remember this vividly. My sister, she calls me. They give me a phone. They're like, "Here, it's your sister." I'm like, "Okay." I'm talking to my sister, but I'm still out of it from all these pain meds. And she's like, "Don't say anything, just you're gonna be okay." And at this point, I didn't really understand what she was saying because I didn't realize the severity of the actions that had happened that day, or that night rather. And everything started to click a little bit more. Everything started to get a little bit heavier. Like this looming cloud started to clear up a little bit, and I started to realize, like, dude, I'm responsible for some serious shit, some serious stuff. And I find out, my lawyer comes in. I've never had a lawyer in my life. I didn't know what to expect. A lawyer? I'm like, whoa, like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on exactly. So the lawyer tells me, he's like, "Dude, you messed up. You were in a car wreck. Two of your friends didn't make it, and you're facing a lot of time." I still didn't really, you know, grasp the drastic nature of the whole incident because I've never been in trouble before. Like I stated before, it was something so foreign to me that the emotion that was going through my body, it was 10 different things at once. It was sadness, it was agony, it was surprise, it was just unexplainable. I was in the hospital for about maybe a month and a half ish, an actual hospital. This was not in the Illinois Department of Corrections where I was locked up, where I did my time in Illinois. And once they transferred me, they gave me a piece of paper, and the piece of paper, it was basically like a waiver stating that you're signing away yourself to the Illinois Department of Corrections. And I never even heard of the Illinois Department of Corrections. I didn't know what it was. And they told me, "You need to sign it." I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I signed the paperwork, and they transferred me. I was in a wheelchair at this point. I still had a broken leg. I had screws and plates put into my right ankle. I had a broken arm and like internal hemorrhaging from the seatbelt. I ended up being transferred to the hospital unit of Cook County Jail, which was just like a fortress in the middle of the city. The moment of realizing that I was going to prison as opposed to being detained, I think it came when they rolled me or gave me the paperwork to sign away to go to the IDOC. I mean, to go to Cook County jail. I didn't realize I was going to go to jail initially, and once they gave me that paperwork, everything just kind of set in. Like, dude, you're not here for the short term. You're going to fight this case. You're going down. You're going to the county. You're going with the big boys. And I didn't know what jail was. I had this image in my head that it was gonna be something like, Prison Break, or any type of stereotypical show you see on TV. Some Shawshank Redemption stuff. You know, getting snagged up in the cell by some dudes you don't want to get snagged up by. I remember this vividly. My first day being locked up. They rolled me off of this van. It was like a medical van, and I was still in a hospital gown, and they were rolling me down this rusty, smelly type of uh, underpass. It was like a tunnel. It was like a dungeon. It seemed like I'd never seen something like this before. There was water dripping from the ceiling. There was people with face tattoos. There was guys looking at you, mean mugging you, And I ended up going to the hospital wing, which is like a big receiving center. And a bunch of guys see me. They're like, "Yo, there's that one kid that was on the news." And I'm looking around and shit, and they were talking about me. And I look at them, they look at me like, "Damn, homie, you looking at like 20 some years, dog. You looking at some time, Joe." I'm like, "What?" I'd never, in my mind at this time, I never thought that I did anything purposely to hurt anybody. Like, I never meant to hurt anybody, right? It was an accident. It was not premeditated. Not to downplay the situation. Obviously, it was a very, very dumb mistake, but this is my thought process at the moment. I didn't think that it was a crime almost. I was an ignorant kid. I knew a DUI is a crime, but I didn't know the severity of when somebody got hurt in the car. It was just I was drawing blanks, and everybody was telling me, "Dude, you're going down, man. You're going down. Big Bubba's gonna have his way with you, bro. You ain't in the gang either, bro. Shit, it's gonna be rough for you." And none of that really contemplated because I was still with I was still focused on the whole aspect that two of my friends weren't here anymore, and I still was. I didn't understand that. I couldn't fathom that whole situation. I didn't realize why I had made it, why they didn't. That's still something that I think about to this day. Actually, it's something that you kind of learn to live with, but you can never truly accept. So once I got off, they actually transferred me in a van, not a bus, because I was in a wheelchair at the time. They got me off the wheelchair actually, and they put me into a walker. Because the wheelchairs had parts that were moving, they could be used as weaponry, so I didn't really want everybody to have a wheelchair. If you were capable or semi-capable of using a walker, they gave it to you. They gave me one with like a hand rest that connected my hand into the cast. So if I move my hand up like this, essentially the walker moved, right? So I had a broken arm and a broken leg. So I'm walking around after I reach the receiving room, which is just like a big open area with a bunch of people, people screaming, talking about, this, that, and the other, how many bags they slung, just things I never really grasped up until I actually learned lingo of prison and how people talk, the whole tricks of the trade, I guess you want to call it, or you can call it. So I ended up going to this receiving. They check me by the doctor. They give me my X-ray results. They show me my injuries. They show me my plates in my leg. They tell me, "All right, you're going to be housed in the medical unit up until you're cleared. Go to general population." So I go to the medical unit, and I remember vividly, I'm sweating profusely. I'm still coming off of, it was like morphine or Dilaudid, and they just cut me off cold turkey. I was on this stuff maybe for like 3 weeks or something like that for pain for my surgery, and I'm sweating profusely. I can barely take 3 steps forward without just feeling nauseous. And they tell me, hurry your ass up, man. Hurry your ass up. Where the hell do you think you are? I'm like, dude, I can't. I physically can't. So they ended up tossing me in a wheelchair. They're like, all right, hurry the hell up, man. Get your ass in the wheelchair. So they roll me up through this elevator. I'm being brought up. It was about 3 floors, I believe. They're rolling me down. It's very ice cold. You could feel it pinching your skin. It was just super cold hallway because it was the hospital area. So basically all the temperatures were put down because they wanted to kill everything that was over there bacteria wise. And I enter this hospital-esque prison. There was cells on every single side of this, right? There was a desk in the front. There was like a bubble, which basically a nurse sat behind, and they're rolling me through this place. I see a bunch of guys in a day room, which is a big ass. It's a very big room where everybody watches TV, and they're rolling me through. Everybody's pointing at me like, "Yo, there's that kid. There's that kid." Like they already knew me, which they did because my case was on the news, and They rolled me into a cell. They put a bedroll on my bed. They're like, all right, there you go. Get off the wheelchair. Get in your walker. Like, get up. I just stand there for like 5 minutes. Don't know what to do. There's no more cops. I'm in a 4-man cell at this point. There's 3 other guys looking at me, like, not saying a word. So this one guy, he's in the day room. He comes in. He's like, hey, homie, I seen you on the news, man. Do you know how this shit works? And I'm like, what? What works? Like, man, the joint in general, man, you need some help? I'm like, yeah. I can't move my arm, bro. They gave me this bedroll. What I do with it? Like, he's like, man, make your bed, bro. I'm like, oh shit. So this is where I'm staying. Like, it was just all, being a stupid kid, you don't really understand what's going on, and that was my new home. Little did I know at that point, that was gonna be my new home for the next 8.5 years. So this man, he makes my bed for me. He's like, yo, I'll make your bed for you, bro. And he pulls me to the side. He just tells me a little about the joint. He's like, dude, your case was on the news. Everybody here knows about you. I didn't know what to expect. I thought instantly, like, dude, I'm in some serious trouble, man. I'm in some serious trouble. I gotta clench these cheeks. I don't know what's gonna happen. On top of, like, me losing my friends, which is kind of, it's coming to me now because all the pain medication they had me on is just dissipating away. And I start realizing, like, holy shit, this is it. This is it. I just didn't know how. I can't really explain the feelings. It's just so many at once. It's almost an undescribable feeling. And that was my initial night. I didn't sleep. I laid on this bunk. It was like a hospital bed with 3 other guys asking me questions all night. They were talking about, yo, man, what you is? I didn't know what that meant, right? What you is? I'm like, man, I'm Simon. What do you mean? He's like, no, who do you ride with? What you is? And I told him, man, I'm nothing, dude. Nothing. I used to play World of Warcraft. He's like, oh, hell nah, man. Yo ass tripping, bruh. And he put me up on the game. It was one of my cellies. I forgot his name exactly. And he's like, dude, here's how it works in here. There's 2 factions. You choose one, or you're going to be a neutron, which is somebody that's not in the gang. And essentially, you're going to get the back of the bus or back of the line on everything, to the phone, to the trays, the shower. Basically, you're going to sleep on the floor if there's no bunks open, or if nobody wants you on the top of them, because it was all 2 bunks except for the hospital area. And all night he just put me up on all the game, how Cook County works. And that was my initial night there. I stayed up all night just talking with these other 3 guys. One of them was a blind guy. He was actually in there for stealing. He was in there for robbing. It's like his 10th robbery case or something. And he seemed so humble. I'm like, how the hell? How did this guy? How is he locked up 10 different times or 10 different felonies for theft? The other guy that was in my cell, he was in there. He actually, it was pretty crazy crime. He ended up, he had this bright idea to get insurance fraud money on his apartment complex, and he burned it down. But he was too lazy to check, or maybe he just didn't contemplate what was happening exactly. Didn't check the building, and 3 families ended up, or 2 or 3 families, I don't remember. It was all still a blur to me. They ended up burning up in this apartment building, and he was like double, triple homicide. He was never getting out, essentially. He was never getting out. And the 3rd guy in there, he was a drug addict. And that was actually the first night. That night, if I recall, it was the first night I seen somebody have a seizure. And when I seen it happening, it was all, I didn't know what to do. Should I try to get up and help him? But I had 2 immobile limbs. But when it was happening, the inmates told me, yo, don't worry about it. Don't trip. This shit happens every night, homie. Just let him do his thing. Eventually, the nurses will get him. Click that button. There was a button on the wall. You would click to have the nurses come in, and it took them about 15, 20 minutes to come in. They didn't give a shit. They lifted him up, made sure he didn't bite his tongue off, put him back in the bunk. He'd wake up with a headache. It's another day in the joint. If you guys enjoyed hearing my story or got something out of it, hit that subscribe button. I got a lot more to tell. I got a lot more stories to share. If you want me to make some more videos, comment below. I also stream on twitch.tv/everyonekills every night around 10, 11 p.m. Central. I'm always talking about stuff that happened in jail, events that perspired that molded me into the person I am today. As always, stay good out there. Be safe, boys. Make some wise decisions. Nothing but love here.